Welcome. It's really nice to meet you. My name's Andrea. I hope you found the building okay. It's a little complicated. I know it's kind of sat back a little bit. Did you find the location all right?
Yes, I did.
Awesome, that's great. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have experience with working with a diverse background of individuals facing a variety of challenges. I like to use a person-centered approach with a combination of cognitive behavior therapy, which is also known as CBT. Are you familiar with either of these approaches?
No, not really. I haven't heard of them.
Okay, well, that's fine. I can tell you a little bit about them. So, with CBT, we focus on understanding how our thoughts affect our emotions, which then affect our behaviors. We will focus on dissecting experiences and identifying how thoughts led us to behaving or responding in a certain manner. We also focus on learning different coping skills to manage unwanted thoughts using breathing techniques, cognitive challenge techniques, and muscle relaxations. So that's kind of just a little bit about those. Any questions so far
No, not at
about
this
any
time.
of those? Great.
Mm-mm.
So before we get into what brings you in today, I'd like to go over some papers and disclosures. I like to do this early on, just in case you come up with any questions before we wrap up. Have you ever worked with a counselor before?
I have in the past, but it just didn't work for me well. That's why I stopped going to therapy for so long. At least I just feel like the last time I had a therapist, it just wasn't a good experience for me.
Yeah, sometimes it takes, getting to know a few different therapists before you kind of find the right one that you connect with. But thank you for sharing that with me. So I can break down kind of how this session will go. We'll meet for 45 minutes, and today we'll go over informed consent and disclosures, and then we'll go over the biopsychosocial. And afterwards, we can get into what brings you in today. We will have some time before that to wrap up and just discuss any questions that you may have.
Okay,
Um, so I can get right into the confidentiality unless you have any questions.
that's good. I don't have any questions.
Okay. So pretty much confidentiality means that whatever we discuss in session remains confidential and fully private. So for example, if you were to tell me that you inherited $1 million, our confidentiality agreement would prevent me from sharing that with anyone. Same goes if you were to tell me that you were using any drugs, that information would remain between us as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are, however, a few instances where I would be required to break our confidentiality agreement. Those instances are if you were to inform me that you were planning to hurt yourself, then I would be liable to prevent that from happening and may
Mm-hmm.
require me to call the police. Um, that also goes if you tell me that you plan to harm anyone else. It's my duty to make them aware. Also, if you were to disclose any sexual abuse of a minor. Lastly, if I have a court order signed by a judge, then I would have to disclose. Other than that, everything we discuss completely remains private between us.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about confidentiality?
No, I think you explained it really well.
Great. So next we'll go over the informed consent. Informed consent allows us to work together, whether it's due to being court ordered or a voluntary basis. This is a form that we'll need you to sign, so we'll get to that later, just to continue with our services. It also allows you to agree on being recorded or photographed, but more importantly, if there is anyone that you would like me to communicate with, such as a probation or parole officer, a caregiver, or anyone else that you just want to add, um, I can add them to that portion as well. All right. So, any questions so far? I
Mm-mm.
know it's a lot of information on the first session. So before we get into what brings you in today, we'll need to get into the biopsychosocial. When we go over this form, it may feel a little robotic and you may find some of the questions a little bit silly, but it's a form that we have to complete. And I like to ask the questions exactly how they are on the form just to prevent any confusions. This will help me gather just some of your background. In a nutshell, it's a snapshot of just who you are pretty much. Do you have any questions about the biopsychosocial before we start it?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay, great. So I do have your full name already as Jane Smith. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. And what is your date of birth?
August 25th, 1992.
Good. 92. Perfect. And then how do you identify? Do you identify like your pronouns or anything like that?
Female.
Female. All right. And are you married?
No.
No. Okay. And what is your ethnicity?
I'm mixed, black and white.
All right. And then what is your current living situation? Do you rent, own your own home?
I'm currently living by myself.
Living by yourself? And do you rent?
Yes, I do.
Nice. And how long have you been living on your own?
I actually just started. I just moved out not too long ago.
Oh, that's great. And do you have any children?
No.
Okay. All right. And then what is just a real basic, like I said, we'll get into it after this, but what is like kind of a basic of the reason why you decide to seek out counseling?
So I have BPD, and honestly, it gets harder day by day. And I feel like honestly, therapy is something that should be included in my life because I feel like it's just a constant, struggle every day. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I need somebody to talk to about it besides myself. And honestly, I have other stressors like regarding work and school and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it seems like you're making a good choice in deciding to get some counseling. All right. And then I do have some general history I'm going to go over. Where's your place of birth?
Edison.
Edison. And then were you raised by your parents, grandparents, mom, dad?
Both, honestly, my mom and then my grandparents. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. And then how would you describe your life as a child?
Not very well, honestly. I didn't have the best childhood growing up. It's very toxic to say the least.
And was that from both mom and grandparents?
No, just mom.
Just mom. Okay. And do you still have a relationship with your mom?
No.
No. Okay. What about with your grandparents?
Yes, they're still my life very much, and they're very nice to me, and they help me a lot.
Okay. Good. It's always good to have some kind of support. Um, do you have any disabilities or anything that you would need additional assistance with?
No.
All right. And I know you said you were diagnosed with BPD. Are you on any medications at this time?
Yes, but I had to stop taking them.
Okay. And then, other than bipolar disorder, do you have any other medical problems?
No.
Okay. Do you happen to have a family history of chronic medical problems that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Have you ever been hospitalized?
Yes.
Yes. And was that when you first were diagnosed with BPD, or was it prior to that?
Yeah, around that time.
Okay.
That's when we had found out because I had like an episode. So
Yeah. Okay. And then now I'm going to move on to education. What is your highest grade that you've completed for your education?
I'm currently in college.
College. Okay, so you have a high school diploma and soon to have a college degree. Do you have any technical training or certifications?
Not yet. No.
No. All right. And then, are you currently working?
Yes.
Okay. What do you do right now?
I'm a secretary.
Secretary?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we're going to go for your relationship history and just social supports. What is your sexual orientation?
I'm straight.
Straight. Okay. And then are you in a current relationship?
Mm. It's very complicated. It's very, yeah. I would say yes, but I shouldn't be.
Yes.
So.
Oh, okay. So yes, but complicated. We can definitely touch on that later. I'm assuming then that you're not quite satisfied with the current relationship, the status of it.
No.
Okay. When you do spend your time together, what do you guys do?
Fight.
Like,
Not
okay,
really much. Yeah.
physical or just arguing?
Oh, just arguing, really.
Arguing. Okay. All right. Have This might be a little bit of an uncomfortable question, but have you engaged in unprotected sex with your partner?
Yes, before.
Okay. And then do you ever share, I'm not sure if you're an intravenous drug user or anything like that, but if you are, have you ever used needles
No.
with your partner? Okay. And have you ever experienced domestic violence, or not necessarily with this partner, but previous partners?
Um, no, not with any of my
No.
partners. No.
Okay, so then I do have a list of incidences. I just would like to know if you've experienced any of them. Emotional abuse,
Yeah.
yes, okay. Physical abuse
Yes, but when I was younger.
when you're younger. Sexual abuse?
No.
No, okay. And then, do you believe in a higher power?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And do you attend any formal or informal spiritual practices, like going to church?
No, honestly, I don't have the time as of right now.
Okay. Is that something that you're interested in doing?
Yeah.
Do you meditate or pray?
When times are rough, honestly, yeah.
Yeah. And then what would you list as like your leisurely activities?
If I'm not at work, probably I like to paint, so probably
Paint,
art. Yeah.
art. Okay. And then you've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Have you been diagnosed with anything else
No.
other like mental health wise? Okay. And then what is your previous treatment for mental health? So any facilities that you've gone to or doctor diagnosis, and what was like the length of treatment?
The longest I'd probably say was a month or two.
1 month, 1 to 2 months. And was that at your doctor diagnosed and recommended, or okay? All right. So currently, for your emotional status, are you currently feeling suicidal ideations or homicidal or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
And then now I'm going to go into substance abuse. So, do you have a history of alcohol use? No. Okay. Have you ever drank alcohol at all? Not necessarily for abuse, but just.
Yeah, before, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How old were you, would you say, the first time that you drank alcohol?
Probably when I started college, so like
Okay.
19, 18.
Okay. Um, have you used amphetamines?
No.
No. Okay. What about bath salts?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Benzodiazepines? No. Barbiturates? Cannabis? No. Cocaine or crack? Okay. Any hallucinogens? Heroin? No. Okay. Inhalants? No. Methadone? Any nicotine, cigarettes, anything like that? No. Okay. Opiates? And then Spicer K2? No. Okay. Any others that I didn't mention? I know that's a long list.
No.
Okay. Do you have any drugs of choice? No. Okay. So then we can probably skip this, unless have you ever had any experience with abuse of alcohol or drugs in your history at all? Okay. Um, so
You mean like
this,
family history?
Just no, personal
Oh
history.
no.
Okay. Do you have family history of abuse or
I
drug or
know of
alcohol?
drug abuse, yeah, but
Okay. And now military history. Have you ever served in the armed forces? No. Okay. Do you have any legal history, arrest history, anything like that?
no.
No. Okay. So we don't. Okay. So then, what would you say you'd identify personally as some of your strengths?
I would probably say hardworking and resilient, probably are my top two.
Those are good ones. Do you have any barriers that you see?
Huh?
Do you have any barriers, like anything that's kind of holding you back right now from like being your best self or the best version of yourself?
Probably, probably just me not handling myself properly. Like probably if I had better ways to handle my emotions or things like that, I would be better as a person.
Okay. And then what are some of your current coping strategies?
Um, I'll kind of just isolate, honestly. That's really just it. Just to be far away from everybody.
Okay. All right. So let me pull these to the side. So that was a lot of papers. All right. So thank you so much for sharing all that information. That was the complete biopsychosocial. So I just get a better understanding of who you are just before we start telling me. So how are you feeling so far? I know that can be a lot.
Feel pretty good.
Good. All right. So now that we're done kind of all the paperwork stuff, can you tell me what brings you in here today?
Probably really just again, like I said, with my what I'm struggling with, I would kind of like want, I guess, some type of advice or maybe resources to trying to better get a grip of it because it's honestly really like taking a toll on me when it comes to work, school. It's just really tough.
Okay. So you're looking for some coping strategies and
Yeah.
some ways to kind of alleviate the stress that you're feeling.
Mhm.
And is the stress mostly due to school and work, or I know you said your boyfriend,
All of that, yeah.
all of that? Okay, yeah. So can you kind of tell me a little bit more about, I guess, what your main focus would be? Like, do you want to focus more on your school stressors and work stressors, or is it more about kind of dealing with the toxic boyfriend? We
Um,
can deal with all of them. You don't have to pick, but what would be most important in your mind right now?
I feel like school is the most important, I would say. So,
School. Yeah, so you can finish your education and not be totally stressed out the entire time.
hmm.
Yeah. So I definitely think we can work, I think, a lot with the breathing exercises and kind of learning what your triggers are with the stress. And then from there, kind of finding coping mechanisms so that you don't feel overwhelmed when you do, go to class or go home to work on your homework. Thank you for sharing all that with me. Is there anything else that you want to share in regards to the school stressors, so I can get a better idea?
I mean, it's just a very heavy workload. I mean, I have a lot of classes. That's really what it boils down to.
Okay. Thank you for sharing all that with me. So pretty much, because I'm looking and it looks like we're kind of coming towards the end of our time for this session. Again, this session's a little bit of a quicker paced one with the paperwork. Um, I just want to kind of reiterate, did you have any questions about the confidentiality or the informed consent or the biopsychosocial?
No, not at all.
Um, I'll have you sign the informed consent. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But before we wrap up the session, I did want to just go over one last thing kind of with you. In counseling, we'll discuss a variety of things, including some that may be uncomfortable, maybe bring up uncomfortable experiences. If you have any, of course. I just want to make sure that that you're aware of some of the potential dangers in counseling. That sounds like a very strong word, but it's just to make you aware. Is that we may uncover some unpleasant memories or give light to different insights to some of our experiences that can kind of make you feel a little more overwhelmed than what you thought, which can make the counseling process more work than you may be anticipating originally. Um, so I just wanted you to be aware of that because I know you said you've had counseling before and didn't go as well. So it can be a little uncomfortable at times, but I'm here to work with you and hopefully we can help you relieve some of that stress and uncover some situations like that. So since we're kind of getting ready to wrap up, did you have any questions for me or anything like that?
No, not today.
Okay, so it was really nice meeting you. I believe we have planned for next week to meet again for another 45-minute session. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. And
All
like I said,
right.
I'll have you sign the forms now, and then I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.